Okay, those are all drying. I'm going to move them forward to get the air in there. Okay, we're at the last two. So I leave pots and pans and cooking pans and things to the end. They're bigger, partly so I can stick them on top. They'll stack better. And like I said, glass and plastic have been done. You're also watching your water at this point. You want there to be soap bubbles in here, but you don't want to use so much soap you're ruining the environment. I try to use a soap. We're using a soap that's environmentally friendly. What happens is if you use too many suds and they all go down the drain, it ruins the rivers and the waterways. Those soap bubbles don't really break down. You want to try it too, if you can afford it, an environmentally friendly one. Don't be overwhelmed by the price. They do cost a little more, but they last a lot longer. You usually get twice as much soap, and you can feel it. They work really well. They won't have as big as suds, but the suds that are there last. If all my bubbles are gone, it means my water can no longer cut grease. And when I go to put these guys in, they're not going to, I might get the crud off them, but they won't have that squeak afterward. They won't be clean. So sometimes at this point, if I had a lot of dishes that had lots of spaghetti and things, I might actually just rinse everything here and then drain the water. So I might get all that crud off and go, gee, I don't have bubbles left. I'm not going to cut this grease. So if that happens, I would drain all this water, put some fresh soap in, maybe even put the soap directly into the item, and I think that's what I'll do for you. And I will deal with that cutting that grease on that item and then finish. So I'm gonna do my cutlery now, and then we'll get to those big items. So I'm picking up a couple spoons, and I'm going to actually, with the part that went in the mouth, I'm going to rub it so that it's clean. I don't want to assume all of the mouthy stuff, there's actually a chemical in our body. I remember this from science, amylase, that helps break down food. So why your gum falls apart if you chew it so long. There's a chemical in there. You just want everything off of those from whoever ate, as well as the food. And with the soap in the water, lots of good has already happened. And by the way, soap also, there is a chemical reaction. The soap binds with the dirt and the oil, and it pulls it off. But too much soap is hard on the world. You want enough soap. So here I'm going around and around with my cloth. This colander looks clean, but we've had a few things sticking to it. We noticed last night it wasn't a clean dish. We pulled it out of the cupboard and used it, and it wasn't really clean. So I'm really cleaning it today. Don't know what happened there. I'm a bit of a romantic, and I like doing dishes at night when the light is low, which is actually kind of stupid because you can't see if it's clean. But I got a squeak, it's clean. Okay. That might have been my fault, is my point. Okay, so we've got my last dish, yay! So to demonstrate, so I'll put a tiny bit of soap. Again, it's powerful, so not too much. I put maybe the amount of a dime, like really small. If you're in the UK, it's like 2p, and really small. And now I'm going to, this surface, if I use a metal scour, I'm going to strip the surface. So you got to be thoughtful about that. Some things can't handle a metal scouring pad. Some things can. I have a pan at home that can and should have that metal scour sometimes. I've gone with soap and a little bit extra water. I can feel that it's not greasy. You can't hear a squeak because of this kind of material this is, but I can feel that it feels clean and not slippery. If it feels slippery, it means there's still grease. You don't want a slippery feel. You want it to stick at your fingers a bit. I'm going to clean the outside as well. It doesn't have to be perfect. This is just going to go on the, on the stove top, but I don't want there to be leftover food and grease. And so this is a point where if I did have metal, I might use it, a metal scouring, but I don't have, and I can feel that. There's our squeak. That's good. Give it a rinse. I did not do the handle. So do the handles. I will say this too. I often use, I'm going to put this away. This is good. So you can see I've got my little stacking trick going on here. So that I've stacked things so that I don't want to leave it like this, or the water will drain off the side, but you'll get a little pool in the center and it won't dry as well. If you turn it, then everything drains off of it. I've got towels underneath to catch the water. This guy is not set up well to drain. So I want to turn him. I did give him a little dry. You'll find with plastic though, it takes a while to truly dry. I wiped it, but I do have a microfiber cloth that could probably do it. But there's so many little grooves in here, even it will be a little bit of a struggle. But especially here, you can see water gets in between with the lettuce dryer. So I just do my best with the outside, and then I let it drain, and in the air it'll get dry. Here's a little pool of water. I'll get rid of that, but I could have got rid of that, say, in a few hours. So I leave this overnight. Usually I do the dishes before I go to bed, and everything can just air dry overnight. I don't have to dry each dish. And then in the morning, I get up and I might have a coffee or tea first, but when I get to start to work in my kitchen, or let's say before I go to work, if I'm working out and I have roommates, I will put my dishes away, and then I haven't left a big presence in the kitchen. If you work from home or are a student, you might not have to do it first thing in the morning, but you want at least everything clean at night. Now, we saved all this because we didn't want to photograph in the night, but usually I have everything clean at night. I'm going to wipe this off. Now, this is my dirty dishes side. Oh, look at that. I missed some. We'll do this. This is why you wipe up at this so you can see if you missed anything. Now, I still have good soapy water. I can see though in my soap, I can see, I don't know if you can catch this. See that bit of oranginess there? That is some of the grease from my pasta sauce. So right now, I was still with plastic handles getting it clean. So I know I can use this water, but I might have started with fresh water at this point. These are delicate, so I don't want to put a pile of dishes in with these cups and saucers. I want to just wash them separately, and I'm not going to use scouring pads or anything. My daughter's roommate's going. Gave her a wave. So I'm going to carefully, I've got my finger in that so it does not, I don't let go. I don't want to drop this into the sink and break it. So I'm doing the edges. Sometimes if you have a whole bunch of fragile things to wash, my mom sometimes would put a tea towel, one of these dry towels, right in the water, right in the bottom. There's like a buffer so that when something, if it fell onto something soft. I'm going to move my pot away, and I'm going to put these guys here. I'll get a little spoon under them in a minute. I don't want to put them in the dry rack where there's a big jungle of things, because they could easily get smashed. So anything delicate, just treat it with respect. I'm going to give them some space. I'm wiping the saucers. I can feel they're squeaking. So I did get away with it with my water. The teapot also has plastic on it. So we'll do the squeak test. And I've got a tea ball here. Got to get rid of all of this. By the way, all this yucky stuff, I usually wear dish gloves. My daughter didn't have any dish gloves, so, and I forgot to bring some. I wouldn't normally bring them, but I knew we were shooting this. But my hands get kind of sore from all the water, and they can crack. Here's a little tea ball. I just took all the stuff out of it, washed it, give it a shake. Anything with, like the colander, I gave it a shake. And now we've got a little pot, little teapot. Teapots, you don't have to get them perfectly clean inside, but this is a glass one, so we can see. So some people pride themselves in their teapots getting a little bit black with black tea. I have a friend who did this old teapot, and they had a roommate that didn't clean anything ever. And one day they were out, and their roommate decided he was going to really contribute that day. So he chose to clean the teapot, and he cleaned all the inside, and they were so proud of how stained it was, how much tea they drank. And the one thing that they were proud of, the mess, he decided to clean it. They were very forgiving. They got that. The heart of it was he was trying to contribute. Okay, so here's my temptation to hang it to dry, but I'm like, but it's a little fragile and it could fall. So I'm not going to do that because I don't want to break it. And my daughter's happy about that. I can see that. So, okay, get the last bits. There's the lid. I'm going to put that, can fit in there safely because it's plastic. Now I'm putting my hands through the water to check, is there anything else? And I found something. The ring. Here's one of my happy tricks. Things like rings of different things. I like to hang them. Now, here's another thing. I find this is just fun. I'm an artsy chick, and I like stacking my things pretty. It doesn't matter. I'm doing it orderly so that it dries well, but I just like putting certain colors together and textures together. It works for me. If you could care less, fine. But anything that makes little tasks fun, do it, you know. I think the other thing too, I was going a bit slow to show you, but every action I did, you can do it fast. There was a guy, I went to summer camp as a kid, and I remember this one guy, this camp counselor, had been there a million years, and he always sang when he washed, and we all sing with him, and he was super fast and good. So if you like going fast and you hate standing at the sink doing things, go fast. Just make sure you get it done. Get that squeak. Actually rub the surface of things, but go as fast as you want. Maybe don't go so fast on delicate things and still stack them properly, but make it a game. Go as fast as you can. Time yourself. Knock yourself out. But get the dishes done, and you're going to have much happier roommates, and you're going to come home and not be disgusted with yourself because it's all done, and there's stuff that you can use, and you can live with very few dishes if you keep them clean. You don't have to have a huge amount of stuff. So I'm going to drain the sink here. While it's draining, so I've pulled the plug, but I've left this actually in place, just pulled it up, broken the seal, so that it's going to catch any bits of food and not block my pipes. I'm wiping the sides because there was some grease in that water and some pasta, but always wipe your sides. Then you've got a clean sink and you're starting from clean. I'm going to rinse it, and part of it too, I'm going to see if do I have a spoon missing or something at the bottom. So give it a rinse. Rinse my hands, rinse my cloth. So I do have some things to get rid of, but I don't have any spoons or things. I succeeded. Now my cloth, your dishcloth, oh, please do this. Really get the water out of there. Bunch of soap in there, so I still have soap to go. So that shows I didn't need to, I could have used less soap. But we did good. Wring it out. If you leave a sopping wet cloth, leave it in the bottom. First of all, that's rude. Someone comes and it's sopping wet and it's cold and it's at the bottom. You want to wring it out. You want to hang it somewhere to dry. That's usually the easiest on the faucet. there's two reasons you're wringing it out. One is that it's just so your roommates and your friends and your family aren't disgusted with you. But the other is that it will start to kind of get rotten. And it'll stink. You might have had these stinky cloths, and whenever you use them and touch them, your hands stink. And it's unnecessary. If you wring it out, make sure it's clean. I cleaned it out. There's no food gunk left on it, and I wring it out. Now it can dry, and when someone comes to use it, it might even be dry, and they can just get it wet, and then, wipe up the spill. So if there's spills, I'm going to wipe them up with my cloth, not my dry towel. Now everything's clean, and I can dry it. I can dry my hands, and I have a clean dry towel that just needs to get air dried, but it doesn't need to be washed, so you don't have to do so much laundry. And I'm going to hang my cloth up here. Again, hanging it a little bit flatter. Like if I hang it like this, it'll dry sooner because I'm not folding it up. I like to fold it because I think it looks pretty. And it's Alberta, things dry really fast here. We're far from the sea. But if it dries too slow, I might just open it up and deal with the artistic consequences of that. All right. If you want to get super pretty about it, I often leave my soap down below so my counter's clean. And but that's just me getting really fussy, but I like to be. Another thing is plastic bags. Sometimes turning that, if once one side dries, you can turn it over, let the other side dry. I also have like a drying rack for clothes. Sometimes I just stick them with a clothespin to that and get them out of our way because they can take longer. And that is how you do the dishes. So I want to give a shout out to my daughter because we're at her house. We're in her house, at her home today doing this. But you can do this at any home. And it'll be appreciated. But that gives you a little idea of how you do this, and not to be afraid of it. And it's one way, but there's some tips there and just how to deal with the different kinds of messes you encounter with dishes and food. Bless you guys. Have a good day. Hey, I forgot one thing. We were putting our dishes in the sink, and I started to finish off some plastic bags I had that I didn't want to overwhelm you with too many plastic bags. Something I do, these are bigger ones, so I like to reuse them. They're valuable, and they just had dry goods in them. I put a little bit of water in there, and I gave it like a little tiny dab of soap. It doesn't need much. Then I actually seal it. I'm getting the air out. Works better. I seal the bag, and I'll do this up here so you can see it. I just sort of squeeze it around a little bit so that it picks up any bits of the soap, and the water can pick up any bits of stuff that needs a little extra work. And I might even leave it, have my coffee. I'm just gonna make sure these are sealed. It's a really good way to wash. I didn't want to fill the whole sink. I didn't have much left. Ours are our breakfast dishes soaking. A little bit of both. Okay, so when those are done, we'll just call it done. I'm feeling it for my squeak. Feels good actually. Gonna give it a little rinse here. Might as well put that good soapy water into my soaking breakfast dishes. There we go. Rinse the outside a little bit. Get all those bubbles off. And we can hang it to dry. And that's my little trick for plastic bags. Thanks.